I never thought a box of tampons could destroy the peace in my marriage, or that something so small could make me question what kind of woman my husband's mother really is. But here I am, sitting on the edge of my bed, my phone still buzzing from the call that left me speechless, and honestly, a little scared. Tell me something. Is it wrong to ask your husband for help when you're in pain? Is it shameful? Or just human? Because last night, I thought I had the kind of marriage people envy. Soft laughter, shared grocery lists, inside jokes whispered before bed. I thought we were safe from the petty dramas that tear families apart. But one phone call changed everything. One phone call that started with, "Aurora, how could you embarrass my son like that?" I didn't even know how to respond at first. Embarrass him for what? For asking him to pick up tampons when I was curled up, pale, shaking, barely able to move. Let me back up a little. Yesterday evening started normal enough, a quiet Sunday. Warm light bleeding through the curtains, the faint hum of our heater filling the silence. I remember staring at the TV, trying to focus on some show I wasn't really watching, because the cramps had already started. The kind that twist your stomach like someone's wringing you out from the inside. I'd always had brutal periods, my body's monthly punishment, 3 days of hell before the calm. My doctor used to say birth control helped, and for years it did, but a few months ago, John and I decided to start trying for kids, so no more pills, no more comfort, just me and my pain again. By 7 p.m. I could barely sit upright. I remember whispering, "Babe, I'm sorry, but could you run to the store? I'm almost out of tampons." He didn't even flinch. No hesitation, no sigh, no really. Just a small smile and, of course, "Any brand? That's John for you." Solid, unbothered, and always somehow calm when I'm falling apart. I watched him grab his keys and wallet, humming as he slipped on his shoes. The way he looked back at me before leaving, that soft concern in his eyes, it reminded me why I married him. He came back almost an hour later, snow clinging to his jacket, cheeks red from the cold. But instead of just a small bag, he was carrying 3. I blinked. He laughed when he saw my expression. "Okay, so Mia and Mandy were at Mom's. I called to ask what kind I should get, and they went full support squad. I didn't know tampons had 100 versions, babe. There's regular, super, and what the heck is ultra?" Despite my pain, I burst out laughing. He started unpacking like a man on a mission. Heating pads, chocolate, pain relief tea, and even a soft plush blanket. I remember thinking, God, how did I get so lucky? We spent the rest of the night watching movies, me curled against his shoulder, the world small and peaceful again. He rubbed my back gently, every now and then checking if I needed anything else. It was perfect, until tonight. My phone rang around 8:30. I almost didn't pick up, but when I saw Amy flash on the screen, I sighed and answered. She'd been sweet lately, overly involved sometimes, but mostly harmless. Or so I thought. "Hi, Amy," I greeted softly. Her voice came sharp. "Aurora, I can't believe you did that." "Did what?" I asked, confused. "You know what I'm talking about. Asking John to go by, those things for you." Her tone dripped with disgust, like I'd asked him to commit a crime. For a second, I genuinely thought she was joking, but then she continued. "Do you have any idea how humiliating it is for a man to walk into a store and buy women's products? You embarrassed him. You embarrassed me." I felt something inside me go cold. Embarrassed her? "Amy," I said, trying to stay calm. He offered. "I didn't force him. I was in pain, and he didn't care." "Oh, don't play the victim, Aurora," she cut me off sharply. "You're a grown woman. You should plan these things. A wife doesn't send her husband to do something so private." The line went quiet for a moment, her words hanging heavy between us. I could feel my pulse in my throat. That mixture of anger and disbelief, like I was being scolded for breaking some sacred 1950s rulebook. I finally said, quietly, "Amy, it's not 1953, it's 2025. He's my husband, not some stranger." There was a pause. Then she hissed, "You've changed him, Aurora. He used to have dignity. Now you make him do women's errands." That's when I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from fury. From that sick, hollow feeling when someone turns something loving into something shameful. John found me a few minutes later, sitting on the couch staring at my phone like it had personally betrayed me. "What's wrong?" he asked softly. I told him. Every word, and he laughed, not mockingly, just this disbelieving, tired laugh. "I'm 31, not 16, he said. "Why would I be embarrassed? It's just tampons." He kissed my forehead, told me not to worry, and went to grab us both tea. But I couldn't shake it off, because beneath my anger, something else was stirring, a question that scared me. If Amy could twist something this small into an embarrassment, what else could she twist? And was this really just about tampons, or was it about control? I didn't know it then. But that night was the start of something much darker. A line being drawn between me, my husband, and the woman who gave him life. For the next 2 days, things felt off. It wasn't anything obvious at first. No screaming matches, no cold shoulders. Just silence. That subtle, invisible tension that lingers in the air after something ugly's been said. John didn't bring up the call again, but I could tell it bothered him. Every now and then I'd catch him staring at his phone, thumbs hovering over the screen like he wanted to text his mom but couldn't find the right words. I didn't push. I knew that kind of war, the one between a son's love and a wife's boundaries, and I didn't want to be the reason he felt torn. But silence can be just as loud as words, and every passing day made me wonder if Amy's voice was still echoing in his head. On Wednesday morning, I woke up early. The pain had eased a little, and for the first time in days I felt human again. John was already in the kitchen making coffee. He smiled when he saw me. "You look better." "I feel better," I said softly, wrapping my arms around him from behind. His warmth was grounding, but before I could say anything else, his phone buzzed on the counter. "Amy." He sighed. "I should take this." I nodded, pretending not to care, but my stomach tightened as soon as he stepped onto the balcony. Through the glass door, I could see his face, his brow furrowing, his jaw tightening. The conversation was quiet but tense, the kind where every word is calculated. When he came back inside, I didn't ask what she said. But he told me anyway. "She's upset," he said carefully. "She thinks you hung up on her too harshly." "Too harshly?" I repeated, my voice cracking slightly. "John, she called me humiliating. She said you lost your dignity because you bought tampons." "I know." He rubbed his temples. "I told her she was out of line. But you know, Mom, she thinks she's protecting me." "Protecting you from what? Empathy?" He didn't answer, just stared at the floor like he wished this entire thing would disappear if he ignored it long enough. That night, I sat alone in bed, scrolling through my phone. Every story, every post seemed to be about healthy boundaries, emotional maturity, mutual respect, all the things I thought we had. But Amy's words had planted something inside me, something small but poisonous. It wasn't about tampons anymore. It was about control, about the quiet way people can make you feel small for needing something as simple as help. 2 days later, things got worse. We were having dinner with his family, a casual Friday gathering at Amy's house. I didn't want to go, but John insisted. "It'll be fine," he said. "Mom just needs time." Time, I thought bitterly, doesn't fix entitlement, but I went anyway. The moment I stepped into Amy's kitchen, I could feel her eyes on me. She smiled, That tight, polite kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Aurora," she said warmly. "You're looking much better. Feeling okay now?" "Yes," I replied, forcing a smile. "Much better. That's good," she said. Then, almost too casually, "I suppose John didn't have to make any more embarrassing trips, hmm?" The room went quiet. Mia and Mandy looked up from the counter, their expressions frozen. John's fork clinked against his plate. I tried to laugh it off. "No, Amy, I managed fine." But inside I was shaking. She didn't stop there. She turned to her daughters and said, "You know, back in my day, a woman wouldn't dream of sending her husband to buy those things. There are some things men just shouldn't have to deal with." Mandy tried to interject. "Mom," but Amy waved her off. No, I'm just saying it's a matter of class. Some things should stay private. Class." That word hit like a slap. I looked at John. He looked torn, caught between standing up for me and keeping the peace. But before I could speak, he finally said it. "Mom, enough." His voice was steady, but his eyes burned. "It's not embarrassing. It's not about class. It's called being married." Amy's smile faltered, but she quickly recovered. "Oh, John, you don't have to defend her. I know she didn't mean any harm. That fake sweetness, it was worse than her anger." I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her how her words made me feel. How humiliating it was to be treated like I'd broken some unspoken rule of womanhood. But instead, I just sat there, hands shaking under the table, swallowing every ounce of my pride because I knew if I said one more word, I'd cry. Dinner ended awkwardly. On the drive home, the silence between us was suffocating. Halfway back, John finally said, "I'm sorry. I should have left when she started." I nodded, staring out the window. The city lights blurred like smudged paint. "It's not your fault. She's your mom. But that doesn't make it okay." That night I couldn't sleep. My body was tired, but my mind was screaming. Every replay of that dinner felt like a cut. Tiny, precise, meant to make me bleed without showing the wound. The next morning, I woke up determined to forget it all. But when I opened my phone, I froze. A text from Amy. "Aurora, I didn't mean to upset you last night, but please next time plan ahead. It's not right to put John in that position. I raised him to be a man, not a servant." My hands trembled. My chest ached. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Because how do you reason with someone who believes kindness is weakness? But that message, that one line, it planted a deeper question in my mind. What if she wasn't just judging me? What if she was trying to turn John against me? I didn't know it yet, but that thought would soon prove true. Because a week later, something happened that made me question everything. My marriage, my trust, even John himself. And it all started with one unexpected phone call. The call came on a Wednesday afternoon. I was working from home, still in my pajamas, sipping lukewarm coffee and trying to focus on my laptop screen when my phone buzzed. It was from an unknown number. Normally, I ignore those, but something in my gut told me to pick up. "Hello? Hi, Aurora?" The voice was soft, female, nervous. "This is Claire." "I work with John," I frowned. "Oh, hi, yes. Is everything okay?" She hesitated. "I probably shouldn't be calling you, but I thought you should know. Amy stopped by the office today." My heart dropped. "She what?" "Yeah," Claire said quietly. "She came in with some documents for John, but then she started talking about you." I felt my blood run cold. "Talking? What do you mean?" Claire lowered her voice. "She was saying things like you're manipulative, that you make John run errands like your maid." A few of us heard it, and it was really uncomfortable. John looked embarrassed, not because of you, but because she wouldn't stop. I sat in silence, gripping my phone so tightly it hurt. "Claire, thank you for telling me," I finally whispered. "No problem," she said softly. John's a good guy. He didn't defend her, but he didn't exactly stop her either. I just thought you should know. When I hung up, I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. The air felt heavy, like the whole house was suffocating me. Amy had gone to his work. His work. This wasn't about embarrassment anymore. This was about humiliation. Public, deliberate humiliation. When John came home that evening, I was pacing the living room. "John," I said sharply, "did your mother come to your office today?" He froze mid-step. "What? Who told you that?" "Claire." He sighed, rubbing his face. "Yeah, she stopped by. She said she had to drop off some insurance papers. I didn't know She told your coworkers I'm manipulative," I snapped. "She said I make you run errands like you're my maid." He looked startled, not guilty, but caught off guard. "What? No, she didn't." "Don't," I said quietly. "Please don't lie." His shoulders slumped. "Okay, she might have said something like that. But I told her to stop, Aurora. I swear." I stared at him, searching his eyes for truth. He looked tired, not dishonest, just defeated. Like a man who'd been fighting a war on two fronts and didn't know which side to surrender to. "Why didn't you tell me?" I whispered. "Because I didn't want to upset you. You've already been through enough." "Upset me?" I laughed bitterly. "John, she's trying to destroy how people see me. And you think protecting her feelings helps?" He reached for me, but I stepped back. For the first time, I felt something I'd never felt toward him before. Distance. A thin, cold wall building between us. That night, I couldn't sleep again. Every sound in the house felt too loud. The creak of the floorboards, the hum of the fridge, the whisper of the wind outside. My mind replayed everything. Amy's voice, John's silence, Claire's words. By morning, I was done being silent. I drove to Amy's house. My hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the steering wheel just to steady them. She opened the door like she'd been expecting me, her expression calm, almost smug. "Aurora," she said, smiling faintly. "I was just about to call you. Why?" I asked coldly. "To apologize," she said sweetly. "I didn't mean to cause trouble at John's office. I was just, concerned." "Concerned?" I repeated. "You humiliated me in front of his coworkers." Her eyes narrowed, though her smile never faded. "Sweetheart, no one humiliated you. I was just being honest. You've changed my son. He used to be strong, independent. Now he caters to you like a servant." I took a shaky breath. "You think being caring makes him weak?" "I think," she said, stepping closer, her voice low and venomous, "you're manipulating him. And you're not even subtle about it. You're playing the victim, using your pain to control him. But I see through it." For a second, I couldn't speak. I just stood there, staring at her. At the woman who raised the man I love, and yet somehow twisted love into something ugly. "Amy," I whispered. "If this is your version of love, I feel sorry for you." Her eyes darkened. "Be careful how you speak to me, Aurora. You're only part of this family because I allow it." That's when I realized something. She didn't just dislike me. She despised me, and worse, she saw me as competition. I left without another word. When I got home, John was waiting. His face paled when he saw me. "You went to see her, didn't you?" "Yes. Why would you do that?" "Because she's poisoning everyone against me." I shouted. "Your coworkers know more about my period than half my friends, because your mother can't stand the idea of you loving me without her permission." He flinched, running a hand through his hair. "Aurora, you're blowing this out of proportion." I froze. That sentence, "You're blowing this out of proportion." It was like hearing Amy's voice come out of his mouth. "John," I said quietly, my throat tight. "Do you even hear yourself?" He hesitated, and that hesitation broke me more than anger ever could. For the first time in our marriage, I realized I wasn't fighting Amy alone. I was fighting Amy inside him. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just went to the bedroom, closed the door, and sat there in the dark, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. Because suddenly, I wasn't sure who I could trust anymore, and when I woke up the next morning to find my mother-in-law's car parked outside our house, again, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. It's strange how fast love can start to feel like loneliness. One day you're laughing over dinner, and the next, every silence feels loaded, like someone else's words are echoing in your home. That week, I noticed it for the first time. Subtle things. John coming home quieter than usual, his phone lighting up more often, Mom flashing across the screen. He'd step out to answer, voice low, staying outside longer each time. At first, I tried to ignore it, told myself I was being paranoid, that Amy's words had gotten under my skin and I was just overthinking. But then one night, I overheard him. I was walking past the study when I heard his voice. Sharp, tired, defensive. No, Mom, she didn't make me do anything. I wanted to help her. Pause. No, it's not embarrassing. Why do you keep saying that? Another pause. Then quieter, like a defeated whisper. Fine. I'll talk to her. My chest tightened. Talk to her. That meant me. He came out a few minutes later, forcing a smile. Hey, I looked up from the couch. Who was that? He hesitated, then said, Mom, she just wanted to check in. I nodded, pretending I didn't hear. Check in about what? He sighed, sitting beside me. She thinks maybe we should have clearer boundaries. I laughed bitterly. Boundaries? Between me and you? Or between me and her? He looked at me with tired eyes. Aurora, she's just worried. She doesn't mean harm. Worried about what, John? I asked quietly. That you love me too much? He didn't answer. And that silence, that quiet, heavy silence, said more than words ever could. That night I couldn't eat. Couldn't think. It felt like Amy was winning without even being in the room. The next morning, I woke up to find him gone. No note. No text. Just his side of the bed, cold and empty. When he came back 2 hours later, he looked strange, like someone had told him a truth he didn't want to believe. Where were you? I asked softly. Mom's, he replied, not meeting my eyes. I felt my stomach drop. At 7 a.m? She wanted to talk. About last night. About us? He nodded. What did she say? He rubbed the back of his neck. She thinks we should take some space. The words hit like a slap. Space? Why? She says we've been arguing a lot, and maybe we need to clear our heads. I could barely breathe. John, this isn't about us. It's about her. She's manipulating you. He frowned. Don't call her that. She's my mother. And I'm your wife, I said, my voice breaking. When does that start to matter again? He didn't respond, just turned away as if looking at me hurt. That was the first night he didn't come to bed. He fell asleep on the couch, claiming he was just watching a movie, but I knew better. The distance had officially become a wall. Over the next few days, things spiraled. Amy started showing up unannounced. Dropping off food, laundry detergent, even towels. She'd smile sweetly when I opened the door, saying, Just helping out. Looks like you've got your hands full. Each visit felt like an invasion. Like she was marking territory. One evening, I came home from work to find her car in our driveway. Again, through the window, I could see her in my kitchen, stirring something on the stove while John leaned against the counter. Nodding to whatever she was saying, I walked in, forcing a smile. Amy, what a surprise. She turned, feigning innocence. Aurora, I was just making dinner for you two. John said you've been so tired lately. My jaw clenched. That's thoughtful of you. But I can handle it. Her eyes flicked to John. See? Always defensive. John looked caught. torn between us. "Mom, don't start." "Oh, I'm not starting anything," she said sweetly. "I'm just saying marriage is about compromise. Maybe Aurora's just overwhelmed." I stared at her, my pulse hammering in my throat. She wasn't just undermining me anymore. She was erasing me. Slowly, methodically, like I was being replaced in my own home. When she finally left, I turned to John. "You need to set boundaries." "John, I mean it." "She's just trying to help," he muttered. "She's trying to control," I snapped. "And you're letting her." He slammed his hand against the counter, startling me. "She's my mother. She's not some stranger you can just cut out." The anger in his eyes scared me, not because it was loud, but because it wasn't his. It was hers. That night, I cried in the shower, silent so he wouldn't hear. I felt myself breaking, not from the fights, but from the slow, creeping dread that maybe love wasn't enough to fix this. A few days later, I got a text from Mia, John's sister. "Hey, just so you know, Mom's been saying some really weird things. She told Dad that you're manipulating John to stay home from family events. She even implied you're controlling his finances." I froze. Controlling his finances? That was a lie. But a dangerous one, because it wasn't just gossip anymore. It was character assassination. And when John came home that night, his face confirmed it. He didn't have to say a word. "She talked to you again, didn't she?" I asked quietly. He nodded. "She said some people are worried about how you treat me." I laughed in disbelief. "Worried? John, I've done everything for you. Supported you, loved you, defended you. And you let her turn that into abuse?" His voice cracked, almost a whisper. "I don't know what to believe anymore." That was it. That one sentence shattered everything inside me. Because if he didn't know what to believe, it meant Amy's poison had finally reached his heart. And that's when I realized she didn't need to destroy me directly. She only needed to make him doubt me. There's something eerie about silence after a fight. It's not peaceful. It's heavy, sharp, full of words that should have been said but weren't. That night, our house felt like a stranger's home. No laughter, no warmth. Just two people breathing in different rooms, pretending the other didn't exist. For days, John barely spoke to me. He'd leave early, come home late, and when he did, he'd smell faintly of her, of Amy's perfume, that soft, powdery scent I could recognize anywhere. He wasn't cheating. Not in the physical sense, but emotionally. He was already gone. I tried everything, cooking his favorite meals, leaving him little notes like I used to. Nothing worked. He'd read them, smile faintly, and then go quiet again, as if guilt was the only thing keeping him here. Then one afternoon, everything changed. I came home from work early. The house was quiet, except for faint voices coming from upstairs. I followed the sound, heart pounding, until I realized it was coming from the guest room, the one Amy always stayed in when she visited. The door was slightly open. I shouldn't have looked. I knew I shouldn't have, but curiosity isn't kind. It's cruel and insistent. So I peeked inside. John was sitting on the bed, his head in his hands. Amy sat beside him, gently rubbing his shoulder. Her voice was soft, almost motherly. "You don't have to keep doing this to yourself, sweetheart. She's not the right person for you." My throat went dry. John's voice cracked. "Mom, please." "Don't start." "I'm not starting," she said, pretending to hold back tears. I hate seeing you like this. You've lost your spark since she came into your life. You used to laugh, remember? You used to smile." He didn't respond. She leaned closer. "I know you love her, but love shouldn't feel like a burden." That line broke something inside me, because she was using my love against me, twisting it into guilt. Before I could stop myself, I pushed the door open. Her hand flew off his shoulder like she'd been caught stealing. "Oh," she said, pretending to be startled. "Aurora, I didn't hear you come in," I smiled coldly. "Clearly." John stood up immediately. "It's not what it looks like." "Really?" I said quietly. "Because from here, it looks exactly like what it's always been. Me standing outside while you let her in." Amy straightened her posture, the fake concern melting into something colder. "Maybe if you were more understanding, you wouldn't need someone to talk to. That was it. The dam broke." I laughed. Not out of humor, but disbelief. "Understanding? You've been poisoning him for months. You call me manipulative while you sneak into our lives like a parasite, whispering lies until he can't even tell what's real anymore." John's face went pale. "Aurora, stop." "No, John," I said, tears burning down my face. "I won't stop. Because I've been quiet for too long. I watched you disappear in front of me, piece by piece. And I kept blaming myself, but it wasn't me, was it? It was her." Amy smirked. Actually smirked. "Oh, sweetheart. You've always been dramatic." I took a step closer. "You don't get to call me that." Her eyes hardened. "Then maybe you should have thought twice before marrying my son. You were never right for him." "And yet," I said, my voice trembling, "he chose me." That flicker of anger in her eyes. That was the truth. That was what this had always been about. Control. Possession. A love so twisted it couldn't coexist with mine. John finally shouted, "Enough. Both of you!" We froze. He ran his hands through his hair, shaking. "I can't do this anymore." I felt my chest collapse. "What are you saying?" He looked at me, and for a second, I saw the man I fell in love with. The one who used to bring me flowers just because, the one who made me believe in forever. But then his next words destroyed me. "I think maybe we do need space." Amy's face softened like she'd just been handed a victory. "That's a good idea, honey." I turned to him, voice breaking. "You're letting her win, John," he whispered. "I'm sorry." And just like that, he walked past me, out the door, out of the house, out of us. Amy lingered a moment longer, her expression smug. "You see, Aurora, love isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when you've lost." Then she followed him out, leaving me in a house that suddenly felt too big, too quiet, too cold. I don't remember how long I stood there. Minutes, hours? All I remember is the clock ticking and my heartbeat trying to drown it out. Days passed. He didn't call, didn't text. And then, one morning, a letter arrived. It was from John. "Aurora, I don't know how we got here. You didn't deserve this. Maybe I didn't either. I just need time to think, away from all the noise. Please don't try to find me. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Jay." I read it over and over until the ink smudged with my tears, because the noise he was talking about was me. But then something strange happened 2 weeks later. Mia, his sister, showed up at my door. Eyes red from crying, she whispered, "He's gone, Aurora." My heart stopped. "Gone? What do you mean gone?" "He left Mom's house. Just disappeared. No one's heard from him. She's been calling everyone, acting like she's devastated. But something feels off. Really off. And that's when I realized maybe Amy hadn't just wanted to take him from me. Maybe she wanted to make sure no one else ever could. It's strange how silence changes once you've lost someone. Before, it used to be uncomfortable. Now it's sacred. A kind of stillness you hold on to because you're scared of what might break it. After John disappeared, I started counting silence instead of days. For weeks, I lived in a loop. Wake up. Check my phone. Check the door. Read the letter again. Repeat. Mia called me almost every day. But Amy vanished too. No calls, no texts, no fake apologies. Nothing. Just like her son. Then, one rainy afternoon, there was a knock on my door. It was Mia, drenched, shaking, clutching a small brown envelope. "You need to see this," she whispered. Inside was a folded police report. My heart raced as I read it. John's car had been found near an old hiking trail 2 towns away. Abandoned. No signs of foul play. No signs of him. I remember whispering, "He wouldn't just leave his car." Mia nodded. "I know. That's why I went to Mom's house." I looked up at her, confused. "She's been acting weird," Mia said, voice trembling, like she knows something. She kept saying he just needed to clear his head. But when I asked how she knew that, she got defensive. Then I found this. She handed me a second envelope. This one older, sealed but with my name written on it, in John's handwriting. I froze. "Where did you get this?" It was hidden in her dresser. My hands were shaking so hard I almost tore it in half trying to open it. Inside was another letter. "Aurora, if you're reading this, I didn't leave by choice. Mom found out something about us, about the baby. I didn't want her to know yet, but she overheard me talking to you that night. She said she'd never forgive me if I stayed with you. I told her it wasn't her choice." The next morning, she begged me to drive out to the lake to talk. I went. "If I don't come back, please know I love you. Always, John." My knees gave out. The letter slipped from my fingers and landed in a puddle of my tears. The baby. I wasn't even sure yet. It had only been a few weeks since I missed my period. I hadn't told anyone, not even him. So how did Amy know? That night replayed in my head over and over. The way she smirked when she left my house. The way she said, "Love isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when you've lost." And suddenly, I wasn't sure if she was talking about love or about him. Mia and I went to the police together the next morning, letter in hand. They reopened the case. For weeks. There were searches, interviews, investigations. Then one evening, the phone rang. It was the detective. They'd found something, near the lake. I drove there before the words even sank in. The road blurred through my tears. When I arrived, there were flashing lights, officers, and yellow tape. And there, near the edge of the lake, half hidden by reeds and mud, was something that made my heart stop. A small, rusted silver bracelet, the one I gave John on our first anniversary. I remember whispering his name like a prayer, like if I said it enough he'd appear, but he didn't. And deep down, I knew he never would. Amy showed up later that night. Her eyes were red, but there was no grief in them. "Only calculation. You shouldn't be here," she said coldly. I turned to her slowly. "You did something, didn't you?" She flinched, just slightly, but enough. "You think I'd hurt my own son?" she said, voice rising. "I loved him." "Then where is he, Amy?" I whispered. "Tell me where you took him." Her jaw clenched. "He made his choice." I stepped closer, trembling. "No, you made it for him." Her lips quivered, but she didn't respond. She just turned away, staring at the lake like it was swallowing her reflection. And in that silence, I finally understood. She didn't need to say it. She didn't have to confess. Her guilt screamed louder than any words could. Months passed. They never found his body. The official report said, presumed drowning. But I knew the truth. She took him from me long before the water did. I moved out of that house. Started therapy, tried to rebuild my life, one shattered piece at a time. But grief has a way of lingering, like a ghost that refuses to leave. And then, one quiet morning as I was packing up old things, I found something I hadn't noticed before. Tucked inside the back of John's old jacket pocket, a photo booth strip of us, smiling, laughing, covered in flour from baking cookies. On the back, in his handwriting, it said, "No matter what happens, find joy again," for both of us. I sat there on the floor for hours, clutching that photo like it was air. And for the first time in months, I smiled. Not because the pain was gone, but because love, real love, never truly disappears. It just changes form. Amy moved away shortly after. No one heard from her again, but sometimes I still dream of that lake, of him standing by the water, looking back at me one last time, and every time, I whisper the same words, "I forgive you," because holding on to anger only keeps you chained to the past, and maybe forgiveness is the only way to set both of us free. People often ask me if I believe in closure. The truth? Closure isn't something you find. It's something you create, out of pain, loss, and the courage to keep breathing when your heart feels like it can't. So yeah, maybe I was wrong for asking my husband to buy me tampons that night. But if that simple, innocent act is what revealed the darkness festering beneath the surface of my marriage, then I'd do it all over again. Because sometimes, the smallest moments are the ones that show you who people really are. And me, I'd rather face the painful truth than live inside a comfortable lie. Love built on control isn't love. It's possession. And no matter how much someone tries to twist your kindness into shame, never apologize for needing help, for being human, or for having a voice. Because if you silence yourself to make others comfortable, you'll drown quietly in a lake of your own unspoken pain. If you were in my shoes, and your partner's family tried to shame you for something this innocent, would you stand up for yourself? Or stay silent to keep the peace? Comment your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe for more true, heart-wrenching stories that make you feel something.